Hey guys, it's Cheddar. It's been a little bit since we made our cheese ball. It's actually been a week and a half. We had some technical difficulties with our smoked bacon cheese ball. It ended up turning out good, but there's something I didn't account for when I did it. So we're gonna give this a round 2 for trying to make that cheese ball. So first we're gonna start with rendering the bacon and getting all the fat out of it that we can. So we're gonna get that started. Well, we got our bacon rendering behind us nicely on the stove. We're gonna do a couple other things while that's doing that. We're gonna chop our nuts, which we're gonna use almond and pecan nuts. Those are the most common type of nuts on the outside of cheese balls. It's gonna be about 50-50 ratio. I got a half a pound approximately of pecans and almonds. I'm gonna chop them because if you buy them whole and chop them yourself, they're cheaper. I'm gonna chop the almonds first because they're a harder, tougher nut. And then we'll add the pecans in and chop those in with those. So that way it's not powder and chopped. So it'll be kind of more an even chop. See how they're kind of chopped, but not too small. We'll add the pecans next and then finish them up. And now we have super chopped nuts, perfect for the outside of the cheese. So one of the things I didn't do in the last, I won't say video because I didn't even finish filming what I was doing. It was still kind of an experimental stage, but usually if I practice something once to get a baseline idea, I usually nail it the next time. Well, when I rendered the bacon fat in our bacon last time, I left it in the pan and heated the milk with it to kind of infuse the smoked bacon flavor into the milk more. Well, in doing so, the amount of liquid went up dramatically in it. The cheese sauce base that we made was a lot thinner than I wanted it to be, and I got a little irritated to say the least. Threw it in the refrigerator and just let it chill overnight. So this time I strained it, and I'm gonna show you guys what that looks like and how much that affected the, not final outcome because it turned out great, but just the process and how long it took to do what it needed to do. So I'm gonna show you the bacon fat. So that is about 1 cup of bacon fat out of 1 pound of bacon. So when you have a 2 cup thing of milk and add another cup, it makes it almost a quart. So remove your bacon fat, save a little bit in your pan to heat your spices up with and wake them up a little bit. So I'm going to just save the little bit that's in there to warm up the spices, then add the milk. So we added our 1.5 teaspoons of paprika, 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, 1/2 teaspoon of chili powder, 1/2 teaspoon of onion and garlic powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of mustard powder. We're gonna let that cook for a second in the bacon fat, then we'll add our heavy cream and bring that to a simmer and let it simmer for 3 minutes or so, and then get our cheese in there. And then we got our spices added to our milk. It's kind of like a pastel-y orange color. It's not super dark. Just gonna let that come up to a simmer and mix it occasionally while we shred the cheese. So our milk and spice mix has simmered for about 3 minutes. It's already getting a little bit thick compared to just plain half and half. And we're gonna add in our sharp cheddar that we smoked and get this incorporated. Add a little bit of cheddar at a time until it's melted and smooth, and then let it cool once we get all our cheese in. All right, we have all our cheese melted into our milk mix. We have like a basic cheese sauce made. It tastes good. It's thicker than it was last time when we had all the bacon fat in there. It just wasn't working out that day. So we're gonna let this cool for about an hour in the refrigerator or outside. I'm just gonna put it outside because it's pretty cold out tonight. And we will let our cream cheese come to room temperature and soften in that time. So we just chopped up our bacon and our Ninja. You could use whatever food processor or blender you want. But you want it to be kind of like powder-ish. There's a little bacon fat in there, so it kind of stuck together. But you want little pieces, so that way the bacon is fully incorporated into a little bit of every bite with the bacon fat as well. We're also gonna stir our cheese mix every 15 minutes for an hour, so it helps cool evenly and faster. Well, our cheese sauce thickened up to a really nice thick pasty, quite sort of sauce because it cooled. Our cream cheese, we're creaming right now. We're slowly incorporating our bacon fat into it to get it that smoky, bacony goodness all the way through it. So this is what we're doing. Here we're adding in our bacon fat, incorporating it into our cream cheese. And I have said this in other videos, and I will say it again right now. But bacon fat is the secret to happiness. That's also the secret to clogged arteries. But if you don't eat like this every day, because I don't, because I can't afford to do that with my health. Well, I don't want to get unhealthy doing this all the time. So I don't eat like this all the time. So it's a holiday treat, something special occasions. But when you do mix this, you want to mix it slowly. Add your bacon fat gradually to your mixer. And also, you want to scrape the bottom of your mixer bowl every now and then to make sure you don't have spots that don't mix evenly. I'm going to do that in a second and then restart it and get this super smooth and add the cheddar and bacon here. Now I had done a couple mixes and scrapes of the mixer bowl with a spatula, but you see how it's almost as thick as frosting? Not quite, it's not really going nowhere on the paddle on my KitchenAid. You can see all the little specks of bacon in there everywhere. You can see all the little pieces. It's completely incorporated. It's gonna be great. So our next step is we're gonna put it into ball shapes. You could do this a couple ways. You could get a bowl, line it with plastic wrap, and fill it and press it in, get all the air gaps out, and you'll have a perfect half circle or whatever shape your bowl is. So we got our cheese mix, we got our wine bowls. All you do is just fill it in there. In the plastic, you wrap it all the way around, airtight, and it'll let it sit overnight. It'll be super firm, or 6 hours. I always just do overnight. It works out better that way. And then you de-wrap it, cover it with nuts, and you're good to go. Or you let it cool longer and then shape it by hand, which I'm not saying it's not good, but it just isn't perfectly uniform and whatnot. But it's up to you. You can shape it that way. I'll try to shape one up that way to show you kind of the difference and how to do it. But we'll get these filled, show you kind of what we do with these, and then go from there. So we got these filled to the top, pretty smooth. Just want to throw a layer of plastic on the top and let them set up and firm up overnight. So I did mention there's another way to do this to make a ball shape. It's going to be interesting trying to do this with one hand holding the camera, but I'm going to try it for you guys. I usually just get a good blob, set it kind of in the middle of some saran wrap, you can see it, and then kind of shape it with both hands. might be able to make this work with setting my phone. Oh, it worked out kind of. So you get your cheese ball. I don't have any gloves at the house, or else I'd be wearing gloves anyways, but you just kind of want to squish it into a ball. This one's about baseball size. And there are tricks to make it really uniform. And I'm not gonna say perfect, but cheese ball shape like what you see at the store. All right, well, it is the next night. I didn't have a chance to do the nuts on the cheese balls in the morning. I just had a lot going on. So I'm gonna show you what the cheese balls look like, how they kind of poke them to show you how dense they are, and then put nuts on them, and then that's a wrap. So we will flip this camera around and show you what they look like. All right, so we had a little bit extra after we made our 2 big ones. So we made our standard store size, kinda. And sometimes they make cheese ball logs, so I made a little log as well. And you just put a little line of it, roll it up in saran wrap, kind of press it to be even, and that's it. But I'm gonna take these out and invert them to show you what they look like, and then we'll show you how I do my nutting of the cheese balls. First step, you do the bowl one. Get your top plastic wrap off. You put it on the board or whatever you're serving on. Do that. Remove your plastic wrap, and there you go. You have a pretty uniform, nice shaped cheese ball. It's a pretty good size too. It's about the size of what I could palm in my hand. So that is what it looks like without the nuts on it, and I'll show you how to do the nuts next. Is the finished cheese ball. And of course you could trade it and plate it however you want. I'm gonna put it on a small silver platter and kind of garnish it up with a little bit of stuff to make it look nice. So that is the smoked cheddar, smoked bacon cheese ball. So the double smoked cheese ball. One thing I did think about doing, which I didn't do, I just haven't had time to experiment with smoking nuts, would be doing smoked almonds for the outside, give another layer of smoky goodness. So till next time.